in his eating. It's in his career from the cheating. It's in the 6 rings that he wears that supposedly are all about him. It's just, I've said it before and I'll say it again, and it's the absolute truth. We do not know how many Hall of Famers will be in the Hall of Fame off the Patriots teams he's played with in 40 or 50 years, because there has been Packers players and players that never probably would have been in 30 or 40 years ago that are getting in now because there's just too many people that don't know who they are and are referencing numbers and rings, right? And so he is not going to be remembered and not going to be looked at and any of the light that he has in the last 10 years of his career. It's going to be such a drastic shift of how Tom Brady is remembered and referenced and looked at in his career 5 to 10 years after he retires. It'll the joke will be playing all this stuff that's been being said about him in 10 years. It's going to be so hilarious. You just watch, mark my words. It's just, and Coward is one of those idiots like Skip Bayless that has been the front runner of pushing this crap and bringing up the GOAT conversation, which is another bastardization of this country and the meaning of it, along with MVP that we've irritated me before. And yeah, I mean, there you go. You pushed my buttons. Thanks a lot, Dave.
That was my goal. You know what? I'm gonna digress with that, and I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go back down with good news though. So our new outside linebackers coach, Mike Smith. I was reading the article today, and I think I read a little bit of it
He's a
yesterday,
good
but
guy.
work and everything else got caught up. Yeah. Oh God. Well, hey, all I gotta say is I was laughing my butt off because I was picturing it as I was reading it. Apparently, he wanted Rashawn Gary the whole time, and when he got the
Isn't that
12 and
interesting?
Packers picked him, he was running up and down the hall in pure joy because he's the quote unquote. This is from Mike Smith. He goes, "It's unbelievable. A guy that size with that speed and that athleticism. I've never seen it. I've been in the league for 11 years. I had D Ford, great get off. He was a smaller guy though. Justin Houston was a big, strong guy. Gary is both of them combined in athleticism."
Does that not no? Does that not make what I said earlier a couple of weeks ago
Oh,
that
I fully believe
the
you.
day that he was drafted, he was the most athletic front seven player walking into that room, just in pure athletic talent.
Oh, just
And
think
I'm
of all
sure
the
people probably.
single.
Well, I'm just saying, like I, I know people probably slapped their heads and thought I was crazy, but I guess it just affirms what
No,
I
I fully
believed
agreed
in.
with you.
Oh, I know you did. I know you did.
I
What else you
just,
got there,
I'm
buddy?
sitting there. Well, I was actually doing a little bit more research while I was talking, and I found something.
What'd you
So
find?
apparently, Xavier Rhodes and Mike Zimmer are at odds right now because of what Mike Zimmer said recently that he needs to play up to that contract of his. And I still find that funny because Xavier Rhodes is one of the top 10 corners in the league.
He
And I don't know
is.
why Zimmer is targeting Rhodes when he's been like that catalyst on that left side. He's always been that solid
Do you know what I
shutdown
think it
corner
is?
that has rarely given up plays.
You know what I think it is? For the
Zimmer's eye
last
surgeries. Oh, I'm
nope,
sorry, too early.
no, it's for the last 2 years. What gets coaches and players moved on and fired from faster than anything else in the NFC North Division?
Tell me, Jay. Tell me.
Not performing well when you play the Green Bay Packers. And what's Xavier Rhodes? What is his kryptonite right now and for the past 2 or 3 years? Number
Devontae
17,
Adams.
Devontae Adams. He is a great corner until he has to face Devontae Adams, who is not like, to me as a coach. It's like you tip your hat to number 17 because your player on everybody else seems to do a damn good job. He is just outmatched against that guy at this point. I'm not
That's
saying
what
he's not going to
Belichick
have
did to
his good
Jay
play.
Alexander. When he came out
Well,
and he gave praise to Alexander, he goes, "I wish we could have got the kid." And instead, no,
that's
Zimmer
my
has to down
point.
his own player. Yeah, I
But
completely agree. I know.
because I watch enough of their games when they're not playing the Packers, because you got to keep up if you really want to, be a complete non-homer when you're going to talk about these things. You have to realize and recognize talent on the other teams, especially in your division. He's a hell of a player, and I'm sorry, this is why coaches are told you don't comment about things that you can't control. He can't control the guy's contract and what they agreed to. All he can do is try to help him be better against why he's pissed at him in the first place. Because that's why I know he's pissed at him. Because if he continues to not perform against the Packers, Zimmer ain't going to have a job regardless of what he does. I.e., what happened to Lovie Smith, and he went 10-6 that year.
And he got fired.
Exactly. But what happened? He lost twice to the Packers, and had lost 6 straight times or something like that, or was 5-1.
It wasn't even that. He only won 2. I think it was 2-11 against the Packers, and the biggie was the 2010 NFC Championship. Having Green Bay go into your own stadium.
Oh, his QB quit on
Soldier
him.
Field has not even.
I give him more credit for the fact that they almost won that game with frickin' Caleb Henney. Where is Caleb Henney right now,
I know.
guys?
Tell me that.
Haney. Yeah, where is he right now? Well, exactly. And so I give the guy more credit. I'm sorry, but again, I'm not going to be a complete homer here. He is a hell of a football coach, was and still was when he got fired, and it was stupid for them to fire him in the first place, regardless of what his record in Green Bay was. Because if they would have had better talent, I think he would have done a better job. He's a good coach.
Oh no, I had nothing wrong with Lovey. I shook my head when they went 10-6. Yeah, they missed the playoffs, but they still went 10-6. And
yeah, but that was also.
And I'm like, what?
Do you know what really bothered me about that year though? That was the Fail Mary year, and they went 10-6. And the reason they didn't make the playoffs was because of the game that was given to the Seahawks in Week 3 against the Green Bay Packers, which gave the Seahawks the wild card spot over the Bears. So it really irked me that he got fired for missing the playoffs when really it was the stupid-ass replacement refs that screwed him out of it, and an owner should be smart enough to figure that out and just hold himself. Because you know what? The two coaches, it took them 2 coaches after that did not perform as well as Lovie Smith had done to that point, except for against the Packers. The other 2 coaches they got before they got Nagy couldn't perform as well as Lovie Smith for the whole rest of the league. So what the hell was the point? That's what irked me the most about that, was that whole situation of them missing playoffs was due to that stupid Fail Mary game, not that they didn't win enough games. It was out of his control.
There was another factor in that Fail Mary game too. That if that win had been in the Packers' win column, they would have gotten a first round bye too,
and wouldn't have had to go to
against San Fran.
To San Fran, with San Fran getting the bye and implementing that zone read at that point. A lot of history changes because of that stupid game, man.
And everyone says, "Oh yeah, it's 2012." No, the Packers literally had to be a scapegoat that year to get the regular refs back. That's how bad it was.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I read an article earlier today. I read an article earlier today, and it really irked me, really, really bad. I haven't been a fan of his work, and I keep reading it, thinking it may get better. Dude, Brian Jones, you got to find some new material, man. He made an article called, I think it was Burning Questions for Green Bay's 2019 team. You know what his question was, Jay? And we were just talking about this a minute ago. His question was, can Mike Patton field a championship caliber defense? And I'm like,
last
what?
Year. In my opinion, finishing 15th overall with the defensive personnel he had for the last 7 games of the season is championship quality if Aaron Rodgers is having a normal Aaron Rodgers season, which was not what was going on last year. Okay, so can we stop this bull crap? That's one of the dumbest things I think I've heard, and I agree with you right there why it would piss you off. That is called clickbait.
Brian Jones guy
dumb.
For 24/7. Oh no, he works for 24/7 Sports, and some of the crap he puts out. I go at, dude. He blocked me at one point on Twitter. He unblocked me because of the fact that he came back. Yo, dude, he swaps sides so much. It's ridiculous. And I've called him out.
At least if we're wrong.
And Brian Jones, if you're listening, dude, you need to get some new material. I'm sorry. Mike Patton now has more than a handful of Pro Bowl talent, in my full opinion.
Well, watch
and I'm
what
pretty
he
sure
does.
Jay agrees with me on this. Yeah, exactly.
Watch what he does this year.
watch us have a top 10 defense that can completely annihilate the NFC North.
Dude,
and make the freaking, oh gosh.
I think top 10. I think top 10 is easily done, even if they sustain some injuries. I think if they stay as relatively healthy, if they stay relatively healthy, which means to me no significant long-term injuries to any real high-end quality role players, I think they're definitely top 5 defense. And I don't think that's overstretching. And this is, again, it all depends on injuries, okay? Because injuries really screw everything up. But
that happens. So, I mean,
right. It's a 100% injury rate in the NFL at every season for every team, okay? But my point is that it's not crazy to look at what he's had in the past, and make a relatively smart projection of what you can expect. And to me, barring, again, injuries, top 5 with the personnel they have right now, and I still believe in my heart they haven't done it, but with everything going on now with Josh Jones, it makes it even more likely for me to happen. 3 players from 27 to 30 are going to be added to this team before, week 3 of preseason or something like that. I said before. I still believe that. He's got enough, dude. He just does. That's a dumb thing. Let's get to a couple of these other things quick. What do you got, bud?
Oh no, I think that caps off the news.
Okay, well, let's get to this quickly because we got 18 minutes left, so we're gonna bump around to a couple of things here. And this started because Bruce from PackersAtTheWin.com, or PackersForTheWin.com, excuse me, and Jay on Twitter had this discussion about whether they would want
I was reading it earlier.
Antonio Brown for 2019 or Adam Thielen. And Jay's points were basically about how Brown was elite and all these numbers, and even if he's a head case and off the field, he's still a better player and all this. And I basically chimed in and said, it's basically easy and simple. You look at AB's numbers, and the backup QBs, his numbers have been 0 to zilch. He's completely disappeared when Big Ben isn't his player. And then Jay came back to me and said, well, the other quarterbacks aren't very good. And it's like, well, no, because they still won lots of games with backup quarterbacks, and they did it through other players that weren't nearly as talented as AB. AB's numbers, again, he would disappear, and they would depend on many other players to win games. Quarterbacks weren't great, but their numbers were decent, right? And Adam Thielen, no matter who his quarterback is, has been solid and consistent and decent. Not elite talent, but again, consistent.
His numbers have gotten better each year.
Right, but at least they haven't been way high and way low. Like their variation is within a consistent where it's a consistent number, right? With no matter who has a quarterback. Therefore, even though his talent is not as elite, you take the consistent player with different quarterbacks, right? That's my point is. And it kind of brings up the point to me, I guess, is does the quarterback make the QB make the wide receiver, or does the wide receiver make the quarterback? And it's the chicken or the egg kind of conversation, but I honestly think I have the answer, Dave. But I want to hear your opinion first.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 because you can make arguments for if you're talking about certain players, like you just said. I think if you put Thielen with any quarterback, I mean, he's going to seem to produce. And same thing with Adams. I think Adams, if you put him with that, any quarterback, I think he produces. He showed that with Hundley. He still put up 10 touchdowns with 3/4 of the season with Hundley. Like, I understand, I think 5 of them were from Rodgers, but still, he found a way still to get in the end zone and produce for the team and at least get that team possibly into the playoffs that year. I believe if Rodgers would have won that Carolina game, they only would have been 1 game out with 2 games left, even with Rodgers coming back with a broken shoulder that year. So, there are talented receivers, but I'm sorry, I feel like a lot of the times quarterbacks make receivers look a lot better than they really are. Because I got to say it, I, I loved